Space was quiet. Too quiet for a place where millions of signals usually passed every minute. In this deep empty stretch, a white medical ship floated peacefully. Its name glowed on the side, Mercy Dawn. It carried doctors, nurses, volunteers, and medicine meant for wounded civilians on the frontier colonies. Everyone trusted the Mercy Dawn. It was a Red Cross ship, neutral, unarmed, protected by the oldest rule in the galaxy. No one attacks healers. But tonight, something moved in the darkness behind it. Something that did not care for rules. Inside the ship, Nurse Lien checked her patients. A calm green light filled the hall. Machines hummed gently. Everything felt normal. Until the lights flickered once. Then again. Then they turned blood red. Lien froze. The ship never used red lights unless something terrible had happened. Before she could speak, a deep metallic sound hit the hull. Boom. Then another. The patients woke in panic. Doctors rushed through the hallways. The captain's voice broke through the speakers, shaking with fear. Unknown vessel approaching. They are not responding. All crew prepare for. The message cut off. Everyone stared at each other. A Red Cross ship had never been attacked in human history. Not once. No one knew how to react. Suddenly the room shook as if a giant hand had grabbed the ship and crushed it. Tools fell. Beds rolled, lights crashed. The whole vessel screamed. The screams from the halls were not mechanical. They were human. Lien ran toward the bridge, but a blast door slammed down in front of her, trapping her in the medbay. Through the small window she saw shadows moving outside the ship. Dark shapes with sharp limbs, crawling on the hull like insects. The emergency radio crackled. A broken voice whispered, "This is Mercy Dawn. We are under attack. Please, anyone." Then static. Earth Command heard the message back home. Officers stood in stunned silence. A healer ship was attacked. A Red Cross ship. A symbol of hope. Someone whispered the only question everyone felt. Who would dare to do this? No one knew the answer. But humanity would soon find out. And when they did, the galaxy would burn. The distress signal repeated 3 times before Earth Command finally believed it was real. At first, they thought it had to be a glitch. Red Cross ships never called for help. They had universal protection. Every species respected them, even during wars. General Aiden Ward stood in the command room, his jaw tight, eyes locked on the screen. The signal played again. Crackling static. Shouts. A woman crying. Then the awful tearing sound of metal breaking apart. And finally, a single word. Mercy. Then silence. The room felt cold. Location? Ward asked. Sector K, 74, Outer Rim, a young operator replied. Sir, there are no known hostile forces there. No known forces, Ward repeated. But someone attacked them. The operator nodded quietly. Ward turned to his officers. Prepare a scout team. I want eyes on that ship in 10 minutes. Far from Earth, in the dark sector where the Mercy Dawn had been traveling, a single small recon ship jumped out of faster-than-light travel. Its pilot, Lieutenant Mara Keene, stared through her cockpit window at the wreckage ahead. The Mercy Dawn floated without power. Half of its rear hull was torn open like a metal wound. The Red Cross symbol, a bright red cross on a white circle, was scorched and broken. Mara felt her throat tighten. She switched on her recorder. Scout 1 to command, she said quietly. Visual confirmed. Mercy Dawn appears destroyed. No life signs detected from this distance. Her ship drifted closer. As she passed the broken side of the medical vessel, she saw something strange. Marks burned into the metal. Not from explosions. Not from lasers. These marks were claw shapes. 3 long, deep scratches repeated across the hull in several places. They looked like something had gripped the ship from the outside. Something strong enough to tear steel. What did this? Mara whispered. She turned on her floodlights. The beam revealed floating medical containers, ripped beds, shattered windows. A white cloth drifted by. Someone's uniform. It had dried blood on it. Mara closed her eyes for a moment. She knew many medship workers. They were peaceful people. They treated wounded soldiers from any species, even enemies. They believed that healing had no side. Now they floated in pieces in the cold of space. "Command," she said, forcing her voice to stay steady. "Request permission to board." "Permission granted, Scout 1," General Ward replied. "Be careful. We don't know who or what is still there." Mara guided her ship to a docking port and connected. The inside of the Mercy Dawn was darker than she expected. Emergency lights glowed faint red, painting the hallways like veins. Broken stretchers floated. Medical pads drifted aimlessly. Silence filled everything. She activated her shoulder light and stepped inside. Every room she passed told a story of sudden terror. A spilled tray of medicine. A chair knocked over. A child's blanket left on the floor. Signs of people who were alive only moments before the attack. Mara reached the bridge door. It was locked. She used a manual override and forced it open. Inside, she froze. The bridge crew were gone. Not dead. Not lying on the floor. Gone. Claw marks were carved into the walls. Deep, violent, angry marks. In the captain's chair, she found something else. A piece of dark metallic shell. Smooth, hard, curved like armor. Nothing human. She recorded everything and sent the images to command. General Ward stared at the screen in disbelief. The shell piece didn't match any alien species humanity knew. The claw marks were too clean, too strong. "What is your assessment, Lieutenant?" Ward asked. Mara swallowed. "Sir, whatever attacked them boarded the ship. It wasn't a missile strike. It wasn't pirates. This was close range. Personal." "Personal?" Ward asked. "Yes, sir," she said. "It looks like they enjoyed the attack." A heavy silence followed. Then the communications officer shouted, "Sir, the distress signal had hidden data. We just decoded it." Ward turned. "What data?" "A final short clip, 5 seconds long." "Play it." The screen flickered. The image was shaky. Someone running with a camera. Behind, through a window, a large shadow covered the Mercy Dawn. Red glowing eyes lined the underside of a ship shaped like a living creature. And crawling over the hull were dark insect-like forms. Then the clip cut off. No one in the command room moved. General Ward finally spoke. This was not an accident. This was a message. He looked at the broken Red Cross symbol on the display. "They targeted our healers." His voice became hard as metal. "Prepare a full investigation fleet. Whoever did this will answer for it." And far away, in the darkness of the nebula, the creatures that destroyed the Mercy Dawn prepared their next move. They had tasted human mercy. Now they wanted more. General Aiden Ward stood at the center of Earth Command, surrounded by officers, scientists, and diplomats from many human colonies. The images of the destroyed Mercy Dawn still played across the large screens. Nobody spoke. Nobody even breathed loudly. The weight of the moment pressed down on every person in the room. For the first time in 100 years of space expansion, a Red Cross ship had been attacked. A healer's ship. A symbol of peace. Ward took a deep breath. "Begin the session," he said. Lights dimmed. A hologram projected the wreckage of the Mercy Dawn. The hull was torn in long claw shapes. Half the ship missing. Debris floating like ghosts. The room watched in silence. Dr. Ilara Voss, head of humanitarian operations, stepped forward. Her eyes were red from crying, but her voice stayed steady. "The medical staff on the Mercy Dawn were all volunteers," she said. "They helped everyone, human or alien. They carried no weapons. They wore peace colors. They followed the oldest rule in the galaxy." She pointed to the Red Cross emblem. "No one harms healers." Dozens of officers nodded. That rule wasn't just human. It was universal. General Ward turned to Lieutenant Mara Keene, still in her pilot suit, still shaken from what she saw. "Lieutenant, report." Mara swallowed and stepped forward. "The attackers boarded the ship," she said. "They did not fire warning shots. They did not communicate. They tore through the walls like paper." The room stiffened. "Based on the shell piece I found," she continued, "these creatures are fully unknown. No biological match in any database. Are they a new species? Someone asked. Possibly, Mara said. Or someone hidden. Someone who never wanted to be found. And the survivors? Another voice asked softly. Mara's jaw clenched. There were none. A wave of grief passed through the room. General Ward let the silence stretch before he spoke again. This act cannot be ignored. The galaxy must know this is unacceptable. Dr. Voss nodded. If we allow this, every healing ship becomes a target. A large diplomat raised a concern. We must identify the enemy first. We cannot start a war without information. Ward answered calmly, but firmly. We are not starting a war. Someone else already did. He lifted the dark armor fragment Lieutenant Mara had brought. Its surface shimmered like the shell of a living nightmare. This, Ward said, is proof. Later that night, the most secure room in Earth Command filled with leaders from every human colony. Governors, admirals, defense ministers. Human unity was rare, but this attack shook everyone. A large circular table glowed in the center. At the top edge sat the Oath Book, a tradition used only during the gravest moments of human history. General Ward stood. We are here to decide our answer. Who attacked the Mercy Dawn? One governor asked. Ward's aide projected a map. Energy traces match a fleet moving from the dead Nebula. A region no one enters. Long ago, explorers heard rumors of insect-like beings living there, but no proof. Until now, Ward said. The leaders stared at the claw marks on the wreck, on the dark shapes crawling across the ship in the last video, on the glowing red eyes. Admiral Riva folded her arms. Whoever they are predators. They hunt soft targets. They chose a medical ship for a reason. To test us, Mara said from the corner of the room. Everyone turned to her. When I was inside the Mercy Dawn, it felt like they enjoyed it. Like they were sending a message. Then we must send our own, one governor said sharply. Ward nodded and pressed a button. A new hologram appeared. The Defenders Unit. 11 elite soldiers. Specialists in boarding combat, alien biology, and field strategy. These are our best, Ward said. They will lead the investigation and, if needed, the retaliation. A diplomat looked uneasy. Retaliation? Are we sure that is the path? Dr. Voss spoke firmly. This is not revenge. This is protection. If we do nothing, every Red Cross ship becomes a target. Every volunteer becomes prey. Her voice cracked. These people gave their lives to help others. They deserve justice. General Ward placed his hand on the Oath Book. We must show the galaxy that mercy is sacred, that humanity protects its healers. One by one, leaders stepped forward and placed a hand on the book. For the fallen, Admiral Riva said. For the peaceful, Dr. Voss whispered. For humanity, said another. Mara hesitated, then stepped up and placed her hand too. For the Mercy Dawn. When the last leader finished, Ward closed the book. Then it is decided. A heavy silence filled the room. Humanity will find the attackers, Ward said. Humanity will uncover their purpose. His voice hardened. And humanity will answer. Across human space that night, news screens showed only one message. Red Cross ship Mercy Dawn destroyed. Unknown attackers. Investigation force deployed. People mourned. People demanded justice. Thousands of volunteers lit candles in memory of the medics who had died offering peace. Children drew red crosses on their windows. Soldiers prepared for deployment. And far away, deep in the dead Nebula, the alien creatures who destroyed the Mercy Dawn watched human broadcasts captured from stolen signals. They did not fear humanity. They laughed. They expected humans to hide. They were wrong. Because humanity had made an oath older than war, stronger than fear. If you harm our healers, we will come for you. The investigation fleet left Earth before sunrise. Their engines glowed bright blue as they cut through the darkness of space. At the head of the fleet traveled the Defenders Unit, 11 soldiers trained for the most dangerous missions in human history. Lieutenant Mara Keen stood on the observation deck of the flagship Resolute, watching stars stretch into white lines as they jumped to faster-than-light speed. She felt a knot tighten inside her chest. Images of the Mercy Dawn still haunted her. The claw marks, the empty bridge, the shadows crawling across the hull. Now she was hunting whatever did it. Captain Ren Hale, the leader of the Defenders, stepped beside her. His face was carved in stone, quiet, focused, unreadable. "You've seen them up close," he said. "Any doubts before we enter the dead nebula?" Mara shook her head. "Only one. Which is that we're not going in with enough firepower." Ren gave a small, grim smile. "We brought everything we have. If it's not enough, nothing ever will be." As the fleet approached the edge of the dead nebula, the stars began to fade. Colors changed. The bright blues and whites of open space faded into thick green clouds that moved like living fog. The nebula was ancient, enormous, and feared. Maps warned travelers not to enter. Ships that went in rarely came out. But the attacker's trail led straight into it. Sensors Officer Tessa Ryan spoke from her station. "General Ward, readings confirm it. The energy trail left on the Mercy Dawn matches this direction. Something passed through here, something big." On the main screen, long thermal streaks drifted across space like scars still glowing. Ward nodded. "Take us in. Keep full sensor sweep. The moment anything moves, I want to know." The fleet slipped into the green fog. Inside the nebula, everything changed. Light bent strangely. Shadows stretched long and thin. The ship's alarms kept giving warnings that turned out to be nothing, or maybe something that disappeared too fast to detect. The crew felt watched. A sharp sound echoed through the Resolute. A scrape. Another scrape. "Quiet. Too quiet." "Report," Ward ordered. "Unknown vibration on the hull," Tessa replied. "Could be dust, or something trying to cling to us." Nobody liked the second possibility. Mara and the Defenders stood in the tactical bay, studying maps of the nebula. A red dot blinked in one corner. "That's the last known source of their signal," Mara said. "It vanished here in this void pocket." Ren frowned. "Why vanish here? No planets. No stations. Nothing." Mara zoomed the map. "Or something that hides well." Moments later, another signal flashed on the screen. Very faint, barely detectable. A repeating pulse. Tessa's voice joined from the command room. "General, we found something. A distress beacon. Old, very old. It's not human." Ward leaned forward. "Where?" "Coordinates marked. Just ahead of the fleet." Ren turned to his team. "Gear up." The fleet slowed as a massive shape appeared through the green fog. An ancient structure floated between drifting asteroids. It looked like a fortress made of dark crystal and metal, broken in many places, but still intact enough to feel alive. A dead space station. Mara stared at it. This wasn't destroyed yesterday. This is centuries old. The Defenders boarded the station first. Inside, dust floated like ash. Walls were cracked. Strange symbols covered the floors, circles with lines through them, almost like warnings. "What happened here?" whispered Corporal Jace. Mara walked ahead, her helmet light shining across old skeletons scattered in the halls. Alien bones. Not human. Thin, long, with curved skulls. Many had been slashed, broken, torn. "This place was attacked," she said. "Just like the Mercy Dawn, but long ago." Ren knelt by a wall, brushing dust off a symbol. It showed a shape, tall, insect-like, with long arms ending in claws. The same claw shape carved into the Mercy Dawn. Mara's heart pounded. "So they've done this before." "Many times," Ren said quietly. Further inside, they found a data core still glowing faint blue. Jace connected a translator. It sparked, then projected a hologram of an alien creature speaking in its own language. Translations formed underneath. "Beware the Karnex. They take the wounded. They take the healers. They take everything." The hologram shifted to a scene of battle. Dark insect-like creatures swarmed a medical ship, tearing it apart with their bare claws, the exact scene Mara saw. The video ended with a desperate scream and static. "The Karnex," Mara whispered. Ren exhaled slowly. Now we have a name. Back in the command room, Ward watched the footage with a heavy expression. So they've been preying on peaceful ships for centuries, he said. And no one knew, Dr. Voss added. They leave no survivors. Mara stepped forward. Sir, the Karnex didn't just attack the Mercy Dawn. They tested us. They wanted to see how fast we react. Ward's eyes hardened. Then we'll give them an answer. Tessa suddenly shouted. General! New readings, massive energy spike. The main screen lit up. Through the green fog, something enormous moved. A ship the size of a city. Long, curved like an insect shell, covered in living armor and red glowing eyes. Smaller ships crawled around it like parasites. Mara felt her stomach drop. That's their hive ship, Ren whispered. And they're not hiding anymore. The hive turned toward the human fleet. Red lights pulsed along its body. The Karnex had found them. And they were hungry. The Karnex hive ship drifted through the green fog like a nightmare given shape. Its armor plates shifted and clicked, alive with faint movements. Long red lines pulsed across its body, glowing brighter every second, like veins filled with fire. On the human flagship Resolute, alarms exploded in every room. Unknown warship approaching. Tessa cried from the sensor station. Size, massive. Bigger than any ship ever recorded. General Ward leaned forward, eyes locked on the screen. Raise shields. Prepare all weapons. Across the ship, thousands of crew members moved with trained precision. But deep inside, fear gripped everyone. This was no ordinary enemy. This was the thing that destroyed the Mercy Dawn. This was the creature from the old station's warnings. The Karnex. Inside the tactical bay, the Defenders unit secured their armor. Captain Ren Hale pulled on his helmet and checked his rifle. Corporal Jace muttered, I thought the Nebula would hide us. How did they find us so fast? Mara answered quietly, They weren't hiding. They were waiting. Ren nodded. They wanted us to come to them. The team loaded onto 2 boarding dropships. They had no plan to attack yet, but if something happened, they needed to be ready. The hive ship stopped moving. Its red lights dimmed, then flashed bright again. General, Tessa said, voice shaking, I think it's scanning us. Ward crossed his arms. Broadcast a message. Attempt communication. Yes, sir. A peaceful signal was sent. The same universal call used by medical ships and diplomats. The one every species respected. On the screen, the hive's red lights flickered once, twice, and then the entire ship screamed. Not a mechanical alarm. A living scream, echoing across the vacuum as vibration. Deep. Terrible. Hungry. The Karnex had answered. And it was not a peaceful answer. Impact incoming. Tessa shouted. A swarm of small black shapes shot out of the hive, flying in all directions. They weren't ships. They were creatures, armored insects the size of cars, with folded wings and sharp legs. They spread like a dark cloud. The Resolute shook violently as the creatures slammed into the hull. Shields down to 60%, shouted an engineer. Ward pointed at the screen. Target the swarm. Fire at will. The fleet opened fire, blue and white beams slicing through space. Explosions lit the fog. Dozens of Karnex creatures died instantly, but hundreds more replaced them. One creature smashed through an outer window of a smaller escort ship, breaking it open. The ship spun, venting air and crew into the void. Mara felt fire rise in her chest. They're boarding ships at random. Ren stepped beside her. Not random. Strategic. He pointed at the hive. A large section of its armor opened like a mouth, revealing an energy cannon preparing to fire. Tessa's voice shouted over the comms. General, the hive is charging a main weapon. Ward made his choice quickly. All ships, scatter. The cannon fired. A beam of red energy ripped through the nebula, cutting one human cruiser clean in half. The explosion echoed through the fleet. Ward shouted, Defenders, prepare for counterstrike. Ren answered, Ready. Your objective, Ward said, is to board the hive ship and shut down that cannon. If it fires again, we lose half the fleet. Mara and the defenders ran into their dropships. Engines roared. The bay doors opened. "Go!" Ren ordered. The dropships launched into the battle. The closer they flew to the hive, the more horrifying it became. Its surface was not metal. It was living armor, shifting like muscle. Strange creatures crawled across it, carrying weapons made of bone. Mara gripped her seat. "How do we land on this thing?" Ren answered. "We don't land. We break our way in." The dropships fired drilling charges. They exploded against the hive's outer plating, carving a circular hole into its shell. The first ship went through. Inside, the defenders dropped into a dark tunnel that looked like a throat. The walls pulsed faintly. Organic. Warm. "This place is alive," Jace whispered. Ren lifted his rifle. "Move. Keep your weapons up." The tunnel opened into a large chamber filled with red fog. Strange pillars rose from the floor. Grown, not built. The air vibrated with low clicking sounds. Mara's light swept across the walls. Her heart froze. Bodies. Dozens of them. Alien healers, other species, all wearing medical symbols from different civilizations. All torn apart the same way the Mercy Dawn crew had been. Ren's voice stayed low, but steel hard. "This is their feeding ground." Without warning, a Karnex warrior dropped from the ceiling. It landed on 4 legs, towering over them, 2 meters tall, with armored plates and burning red eyes. It screeched. Ren opened fire. Blue bullets slammed into its chest, cracking armor. Jace fired next, hitting its legs. Mara aimed at its head. The creature leaped forward, claws slicing the air. And Ren slid under it, firing straight into its throat. The Karnex collapsed. "Keep moving," Ren shouted. "If there's one, there are more." More clicking sounds echoed in the distance. Hundreds more. Back in space, the hive ship charged its cannon again. Ward watched the energy levels spike. "If the defenders don't shut it down now." He didn't finish. Lights turned red across the bridge. "The weapon was ready," Ward whispered. "Come on, Ren, hurry." Inside the hive, Mara and the team reached a massive chamber glowing bright red. In the center rose an enormous organ-like structure pulsing with energy, the hive's cannon core. Ren lifted his weapon. "This is it." But before they could move, a deeper sound shook the entire chamber. A massive Karnex warrior stepped forward, larger than all the others, its armor black like stone and its eyes burning bright crimson. Mara's breath caught. "It's the Hive Guardian." Ren lowered his visor. "Then this is where we fight." The Guardian roared. The hive ship's cannon charged. And the first true battle between humanity and the Karnex began. The Hive Guardian hit the ground like a falling mountain. It lay still for a moment, black armor cracked, thick green fluid leaking from its chest. Smoke rose from the burns where Ran and the defenders had fired their last explosive charges. Mara's lungs burned. Her shoulder armor was broken. Jace's helmet was cracked. 2 of the defenders breathed hard, leaning on their rifles. Ren looked at the glowing cannon core in the middle of the chamber. It pulsed weaker now, its power lines cut. "Status?" he asked. Mara checked the device on her wrist. "The cannon's offline. Power's dropping fast. The hive ship won't be able to fire it again. Not for a long time." "Good," Ren said. "Then we buy our people time." As if answering his words, the ground shook. The hive ship trembled like a living beast in pain. Somewhere outside, human ships were taking advantage of the moment, firing everything they had. Ren turned to his team. "We're not done yet. We still don't know why they attacked the Mercy Dawn. There has to be a core control room. Information. Something." Jace pointed at a dark tunnel behind the broken cannon core. "There. Looks like a command passage." Ren nodded. "Move out. Stay alert. This thing isn't dead yet." Outside, the battle raged. The human fleet circled the hive ship, firing volleys of plasma and railgun shots. Smaller Karnex craft darted through the fog, some exploding under human fire, others slamming into shields like living missiles. On the bridge of the Resolute, General Ward watched the damage reports. 1 destroyer gone. 2 badly hit. Several smaller ships torn open by boarding creatures. But for the first time since the fight began, something changed. Their main weapon is offline, Tessa said, barely able to hide her relief. Energy readings from the hive are dropping. Ward exhaled. That's the defenders. He stood taller. All ships, press forward. Focus fire on weak points in the hive's armor. We're not here to survive. We're here to win. A cheer passed through the bridge. On screens across the fleet, humans watched as pieces of the hive child broke away under heavy fire. For the first time, the Karnex bled. Deep inside the hive, Ren and the defenders moved through a narrow tunnel lined with strange glowing veins. They pulsed in rhythm, like the beating of a heart. Mara touched one carefully. This whole ship, it's grown, not built, Jace muttered, like a giant armored animal with a city inside. They stepped into a wide chamber unlike the others they had seen. It was calmer here. No bodies. No blood. In the center stood a twisted pillar of bone and crystal, covered in symbols. The air thrummed with a strange energy. "What is this?" whispered one of the defenders. Mara walked closer. "Some kind of memory core?" The symbols shifted and changed as they approached. A projection formed in the air. Images, not words. Memories. First, they saw an alien medical station. Not human. Another race. White lights. Healing beds. Peace symbols painted on the walls. Then the Karnex came. They tore through the station with claws and teeth, just like the Mercy Dawn. They grabbed injured patients. They ignored healthy ones. They took the wounded, the doctors, the nurses, and left empty halls behind. The scene changed. Another attack. Another medical ship. Then another. And another. Hundreds of scenes. Hundreds of victims. Different races. Different colors. Same pattern. They always go for healers, Jay said, his voice shaking. Always medics. Doctors. Nurses. They don't bomb cities. They don't attack soldiers. They attack mercy. A final image appeared. It showed rows and rows of cocoon-like pods inside a large chamber. Each pod contained a sleeping or barely awake figure, wounded, sick, or dying. Tubes connected them to the hive walls. The Karnex walked between them, injecting fluids, watching their pain closely. Mara felt sick. They're studying them. Studying suffering. Ren's face hardened. They don't just kill. He looked at the images of pods again. They harvest. The projection shifted again, this time showing the Karnex viewpoint. For them, the universe was simple. Strong beings fought. Weak beings were used. Healers, medics, and mercy ships gathered the weak in one place. They saved them, protected them, fed them. To the Karnex, it was not kindness. It was storage. Easy access to prey. They see us as farmers of pain, Mara whispered. We build hospitals. They see food warehouses. Jace slammed his fist into the wall. Monsters. Ren stared at the final image. It showed the Mercy Dawn, glowing white in the dark, surrounded by Karnex ships. Underneath the image, alien symbols translated into simple meaning. Test 431. New species. Humans. Result. High emotional response to healer loss. Pain potential. Extreme. Recommendation. Harvest more. Mara felt something snap inside her. They attacked the Mercy Dawn. Not just to kill our healers. They wanted to see how much it would hurt us. To measure our grief. Ren spoke slowly, voice low with fury. We are not their test. He turned to his team. Download everything. Every image. Every record. The galaxy has to see this. They connected their devices to the memory core. Data streamed in, thousands of records of the Karnex hunting mercy ships, Red Cross stations, volunteer medics. They weren't just enemies. They were predators of compassion. On the Resolute, the memory data appeared on screens. Dr. Voss watched in horror. General Ward's hands curled into fists. This is what they are, Ward said quietly. This is what they've been doing for centuries. Tessa looked like she might be sick. How many civilizations? How many healers? Dr. Voss wiped her eyes. They don't just break laws. They break the soul of every peaceful race they touch. Ward straightened. His voice turned cold as ice. Then we give them something new to measure. Not grief. Not fear. He looked at the burning hive on the main screen, parts of its armor breaking under human fire. We show them what happens when humanity chooses to stop forgiving. Inside the hive, the chamber began to shake. The veins in the walls pulsed faster. The memory core dimmed. Ren spoke quickly. We have what we need. Time to end this. Mara nodded. Plant the charges? All of them, Ren said. If we leave this ship alive, they'll just hunt more healers. One by one, the defenders set explosive devices around the memory core and along the support pillars. The hive groaned like a living thing in pain. As they prepared to leave, Mara looked back at the last frozen image on her visor, rows of cocooned victims from different worlds, held in endless suffering. We're doing this for them, she said softly. For every healer they ever took. Ren placed a hand on her shoulder. And for every healer who will never have to fear them again. They ran for the exit. Outside, the human fleet pulled back to a safer distance. General Ward's voice echoed through the comms. All ships, clear the hive. The defenders have planted something special. In the darkness of the Nebula, the Karnex hive ship writhed like a dying beast. At the same time, in 1,000 human homes and colonies, people watched live feeds of the battle. They saw the truth of the Karnex. They saw the halls of suffering. They saw the tests. And somewhere deep in the hearts of billions of humans, mercy turned into something else. Not hate. Not rage. Something older. Judgment. The hive ship burned from the inside. Mara felt the heat against her armor as she pulled Ren through the collapsing tunnel. Smoke filled every corner, glowing red from the flames the defenders had set. Karnex bodies dropped from the ceiling, their limbs shaking, their shells cracking under the burning chemicals. We don't have long, Mara shouted. Behind her, Jace dragged the wounded soldier, Rowan, who struggled to stay conscious. Sparks rained from the walls like falling stars. The hive groaned, a deep, giant sound, like a monster crying out in pain. The explosives they planted were waking the beast from the inside. Ren pushed himself to his feet. We're close to the exit. Keep moving. The tunnel split into two paths. One dark, one glowing with thin blue veins. Right, Mara said. That one leads to our drop point. The team sprinted down the glowing corridor. It twisted like an intestine, pulsing faintly. Every few seconds, the walls tightened as if the ship itself were angry. Then a scream echoed behind them, a harsh, insect-like roar. A Karnex hunter launched itself from the shadows. Twice the size of a normal one, armored like solid iron, its claws cracked into the floor with every step. Jace fired 3 shots. They bounced off its shell. Keep running, Ren ordered. The hunter charged. Mara spun, fired a shock grenade, and the explosion brightened the tunnel with white light. The hunter stumbled, but only for a moment. It roared and kept coming. Rowan coughed weakly. We'll never outrun that thing. Mara grabbed a metal pipe from the wall, something that had broken loose from the earlier blast. She threw it behind them. The pipe clanged loudly. The hunter turned its head toward the sound, confused for a second. That second was enough. Ren hit a control panel on the side of the wall. It sealed a thick organic membrane between them and the creature. The hunter crashed into it, smashing repeatedly, but the wall held long enough for the team to escape. Move! Ren shouted. When they reached the extraction point, the side of the hive ship was already cracking open like a giant eggshell. Explosions lit the sky around it. Human ships circled the massive creature, firing non-stop. General Ward's voice crackled through their comms. Team Alpha, status. Ready for pickup. Ren responded. Charges set. Hive should blow any moment. Ward replied without hesitation. Extraction craft on the way. Hold position. The defenders took cover near a burning ridge. Below them, the hive ship's surface pulsed violently as flames spread through it. Karnex crawlers poured out of the cracks, falling into space like sparks. Jace looked at the chaos. They're abandoning the hive. No, Mara said quietly. They're coming for us. Dozens of flyers swarmed upward. Mara raised her rifle. Here they come. The defenders formed a circle, firing in all directions. Bodies dropped fast, but more came. The air filled with screeches and burning fragments. A larger shadow blocked the light. The hunter had found another way out. It leapt straight toward them. Before anyone could react, a missile hit it midair, blowing it apart in a shower of fire. A gunship descended, engines loud and glowing. The side door opened. "Get in!" the pilot yelled. The defenders climbed aboard, pulling Rowan inside. The craft pulled away at full speed as the hive ship began to shake violently. General Ward's voice came again. "All ships, fall back. The hive is destabilizing." The human fleet turned away from the massive organism. Inside the gunship, Mara looked through the window as glowing cracks spread across the hive's body like lightning. Ren strapped himself in. "When that thing blows, the blast will be huge." Jace smirked. "Then let's enjoy the view." The hive ship expanded, its shell swelling outward like a balloon full of fire. Then, boom! A massive explosion of blue and red light burst in every direction. Shock waves rippled across the nebula. Karnex ships were shredded instantly. The human ships rocked, alarms blaring, but stayed intact. Pieces of the hive, huge, burning, glowing, floated apart like ruins of a dead star. The gunship shook violently. Mara held her breath until the trembling stopped. Ward's voice returned after a long silence. "Hive ship destroyed. Humanity has won its first victory." But Ren shook his head. "No, not victory. Not yet." Mara looked at him. "What do you mean?" Ren pointed through the window. Far beyond the nebula, faint shapes moved. Dark silhouettes, enormous, drifting slowly. Karnex vessels. Not one, not two, dozens, maybe hundreds. They pulsed with red eyes, watching from a distance. Jace whispered, "They were waiting." Mara's heart sank. Then the Mercy Dawn was never a random attack. "No," Ren said. "It was a test. They wanted to see how we fight." Ward's command interrupted their thoughts. "All units, prepare for Phase 2. The Karnex are coming." The defenders looked at the drifting army of creatures. Humanity had struck first. But the real war had only just begun. The fleet returned to human space in silence. No one cheered. No one celebrated. The destruction of the hive ship should have felt like victory, but every soldier had seen the truth with their own eyes. The Karnex were not weakened. They were not scared. They were waiting. And now they were coming. The High Command war room was filled with tension. Generals, scientists, leaders from across the colonies watched the recordings. Thousands of Karnex ships drifting out of the nebula, forming a massive wall of living metal. General Ward stood at the center of the room, hands behind his back, looking at the hologram. "If they reach Earth," he said quietly, "humanity ends." Dr. Voss analyzed the enemy positions. "Their numbers are larger than anything we have ever faced. We need every colony, every fleet, every weapon. Total unity." Ren, Mara, and the defenders stood beside Ward. Their armor still carried scorch marks, dust, and dried alien blood. They had barely rested, but they were ready. Ward turned to them. "You survived inside their hive. You know their weaknesses better than anyone. You will lead the front assault." Mara stepped forward. "What's our objective, sir?" Ward zoomed the hologram. A massive red shape appeared, far bigger than the hive they destroyed. The Karnex Prime. Their command ship. Their queen. Their mind. Ren nodded slowly. "If we destroy that, the swarm loses coordination." Voss added, "And the smaller ships will attack without direction. They'll become wild. We can finish them." The room fell silent. Mara exhaled. "Then that's what we do." Ward's voice became firm. "This is not just a battle. This is species against species. Do whatever it takes." 3 days later, humanity's largest fleet in history gathered near the edge of the dead nebula. Thousands of ships formed a silver barrier around Earth's star region. Heavy cruisers, colony warships, defender carriers, even civilian vessels modified for combat. Every engine hummed. Every soldier waited. Every world held its breath. Mara stood on the resolute bridge, armor polished and repaired. Ren stood beside her, calm but focused, adjusting his gauntlets. First we took the fight to them, Mara said. Now they'll try to take everything from us. Ren gave a small nod. Then we stop them here. Tessa's voice broke through the tension. General! They're arriving! The main screen lit up, like a storm of nightmares. The Karnex swarm emerged from the nebula. Hundreds. Thousands. Endless. Their ships moved like one living ocean, glowing red from within. At the center towered the Karnex Prime, a ship the size of a small moon, armored like bone and metal mixed together, its surface crawling with movement. A deep vibration echoed through the fleet, almost like a growl. Jace swallowed. So that's their queen. Mara's voice remained steady. We destroy that thing or humanity falls. Ward raised his hand. All ships fire. The battle exploded instantly. Blue and red beams crossed space in every direction. Missiles cut through the darkness like burning spears. Explosions lit the nebula like stars being born and dying all at once. Human fighters swarmed the smaller Karnex vessels, breaking their formations. But the Karnex adapted quickly. They fired living projectiles, acidic beams, and spikes that tore through steel. The Resolute shook violently as a Karnex ship slammed into their shields. Shields at 60%. Tessa shouted. Keep firing. Ward commanded. Inside the chaos, the defenders boarded their assault dropship. Ren turned to his team. Our target is the Prime. Once we're in, we head straight for its heart. Jace smirked nervously. Just another day at work. Rowan, now patched up but shaky, lifted his rifle. Let's end this. Mara checked her gear. For Earth. For humanity, Ren answered. The dropship launched. Flying through the swarm was like dodging 1,000 swords. Karnex flyers attacked from all sides, claws scraping the hull. Almost there, the pilot yelled. Then the Prime came into view, massive, horrifying, alive. Its surface pulsed like a beating heart. The dropship slammed down on a fleshy platform. The door blasted open. Go! Ren shouted. The defenders stormed into the Prime. Inside, the tunnels were enormous, large enough for giant Karnex soldiers. Black veins pulsed on the walls, carrying glowing red fluid. Echoes of distant screeches filled the air. Mara led the way. Down that corridor. The energy core is below. The ground shook. A giant Karnex Guardian emerged, 3 times larger than a hunter, its shell thicker than tank armor. Its eyes burned bright red. It charged. The defenders fired everything. Grenades, rifles, shock rounds. The Guardian kept coming, roaring like thunder. Ren shouted, Mara! The opening! Mara saw it, a small soft spot under its throat where armor plates overlapped. She sprinted forward, sliding under the creature as it lunged. With a single explosive spike charge, she jammed it into the gap and rolled away. Ren! Now! Ren fired a direct shot. The charge detonated. The Guardian crashed to the ground, shaking the entire corridor. Jace whistled. Nice one. Mara breathed hard. Move. Core room is ahead. The heart of the Prime glowed like a giant red sun. Pulsing. Alive. Terrifying. Ren planted the final explosive device. Charges set, he said. 3-minute fuse. A loud, furious scream echoed through the Prime, so deep it vibrated their bones. The walls rippled like liquid. The Queen knows, Mara whispered. She knows we're here. They ran. The tunnels collapsed behind them. Karnex poured from every direction. The defenders fought through waves of claws and teeth, each second burning away at the timer in Ren's hand. 2 minutes left, he shouted. They reached the exit platform. Their dropship swooped in low. Jump! The pilot yelled. The team leaped aboard as the Prime erupted behind them. Ren hit the detonator. A massive explosion ripped through the Prime. Red light burst outward like a dying star. The huge ship cracked apart, splitting into burning fragments. Across the battlefield, every Karnex ship jerked violently, losing coordination. Human ships surged forward. Ward's command echoed through the comms. All units, push. The swarm is collapsing. Within minutes, the Karnex fleet fell into chaos, crashing into each other, attacking blindly, losing control. Humanity struck them down one by one. The battle ended with silence. The Karnex were no more. Back on Earth, people celebrated for days. Lights across cities. Bells ringing. Families hugging. Every world in the colonies joined in a single victory. But Mara ran, and the defenders stood quietly on a balcony overlooking the sunrise. We won, Jay said softly. Ren looked at the horizon. We survived. Mara nodded. And we'll be ready, if anything ever comes again. For now, humanity breathed freely. The Mercy Dawn had been the first tragedy, but humanity ended the story with strength. And the stars belonged to them once more.